what you see outside of you. It's what's inside of you. A thought, feeling, and emotion is evoked from the consciousness, which is in your environment, that permeates down into the pituitary, pineal, and thalamus, that generates an alchemical response. It's a rippling effect that then is evoked through the culture medium, that is realized as your blood, that is the catalyst that affects the gene expression. Silence, sound, reverberation, isolation, oscillation, realization. All is one, one is all. All is one, one is all. Welcome to the consciousness of the way. My divine delectable co-host, High Priestess Jade. Welcome, friend.
I was going to say, hi, friend. That seems like such a weird thing to say to you. Even though it's true. We're best of friends.
Hello, bestie.
Hello.
And I'm your humble servant and Sifu, Taoist Master San Quinn. Well, what an amazing week we have here. Oh, let me see. How are you?
It's good to be me.
Wow, that would be an echoing validation from the inner corners and workings of my very mind that is consciousness. It's good to be me. How we start a very interesting deep dive. Moreover, understanding you are a product of your environment. Last couple of podcasts we've been talking about that, and the inner workings of the deeper understanding of the play the human being has within the architecture of the universe. And all thoughts of your mind are not yours. Oh, whose are they, Sifu? So realizing the rippling effects, how quickly you access this 0 point energy, the field that we speak of, the inner mechanics, it's interesting how you measure these things, right? So we talk about your neurology. The feeling is critical. Your experience as a human being is for a reason. You have this physiology for a reason, for you to use that as a barometer to determine what is real, what isn't. Everything comes from the truth teller. Feeling is everything. It's the only thing. And because people are caught up in the psychoses of their reality, that they're on autopilot most of the time, that they're not realized, that their idea of consciousness is nothing more than that, and it's in the echoing field that's outside of their physical body, outside of this limiter. And so they realize that in a different way altogether. And, we get this a lot, you will realize that what is happening is you. What do you mean, Sifu? What are you talking about? What is happening is you. You are the field. That's when you become realized. But moreover, on a much bigger magnitude, because you are the experience, you can literally, it can seem non-existent because you are it.
Yeah, it's kind of like that programming that you get where, like, oh, humans are so arrogant. They think they can, just because, they're smarter than other animals, they're, the top of the food chain type of thing. And really, when you kind of look at it more from just what we have access to, our neurology, our species, the ability to do the things that we do, it isn't so much of an arrogance, just a superpower. And it's like, not that animals aren't super powerful, but humans in itself are there. There's nothing to compare it to other than another human. I mean, the neurology, the capability, the consciousness, the connection, the field, it's so powerful. We have absolutely no idea how intricate all of these systems work together. And then when you start kind of unlocking them, you get this, I see it, I can't unsee it. I can't look at you now and look at you the way I did 10 years ago, because now I know all these amazing things that you can do, I can do, we can do together, this whole experience.
Well, understanding that the true mechanics, just in the premise of when you see it, you cannot unsee it. It's not just a metaphor or an expression of a description of what could be. The understanding that when you see it, you cannot unsee it is the rippling effects of how we integrate on a much deeper level the true understanding of what we stress on or repeat on or reiterate over and over again, which is what we call epigenetics. So it's the above, which epi means above, the gene to express. So how do you express that gene? There is a thought, feeling, and emotion that is a rippling effect that you believe is contained within your mind, which in actuality is consciousness that goes beyond these four walls, this space, this earth, this universe. It's abundant, timeless, endless, limitless, infinite. So when you say you can, once you see it, you cannot unsee it, it's a realization of the rippling effects of that. So epigenetics is an understanding that the environment affects the gene expression, which in turn, as you would believe, the previous model of understanding of gene expression is that you are given a DNA strand within it, the gene expression of genetic code that makes up your individual signature from your parents, from your heritage, from your generations before you. Well, rippling effect, let's say 18, 27, 36. How many generations before you are integrated into the gene code that is the signature of who you are? Now that can be altered with the understanding of epigenetics, which was realized back in the 60s when, certain people were playing with what they call culture medium, replicating stem cells, embryonic cells, which are called stem cells because they're only embryonic when you are not actually born into this world. So these are replicating cells that are basically the inner workings of your mass, your flesh and blood that you see before you, that regenerates billions of them on a daily basis, that is realized in your flesh and blood. And so you can alter that, just as Jade said. Oh, well, you cannot see you cannot unsee what you have seen, which is something that Jade and I use over and over again, not just as a metaphor, and we don't reiterate it over and over again because we want to hear our own voices. We do that because in reality, as you perceive it from a epigenetic code level of realizing it within the field that is the 0 point energy, that is the super glue, and I've even had some people call it the jello per se, that your wave to matter experience is your consciousness, attention, intention, realized into a wave to matter to particle that is a cluster of thought, feelings, and emotions that are realized into what you perceive as your reality, what you perceive as this flesh and blood, which is actually just a reflection of light. We are energy, frequency, vibration, everything. That is validated within the quantum model, that understanding. You're either thinking within Newtonian physics or you're knowing within quantum physics. There is half a dozen, 1/6 of the other. The Newtonian model, unfortunately, doesn't hold water with the realization and the evolution of quantum physics. Moreover, when you look at epigenetics, that's a clear understanding of that. Because the culture medium, which is realized as blood in of itself, Jade's blood as opposed to my blood, even though we are inseparable, we are always in each other's pockets, we're always together, that is a gene expression in of itself. This is where you look at couples, you look at friends, the old expression, you are a product of your environment, you are an expression of who you hang out with, is not a metaphor. It may have been realized as that through generations handing down that famous expression, but that's actually what's going on. Her genes are affecting my genes are affecting her genes with a thought, feeling, and an emotion, replicating it. Now, you mindfully conduct that with what you measure as your consciousness. Consciousness, in of itself, the foundation of consciousness is perception. That's it. Your perception of your reality is your consciousness. Consciousness is measured by your perception. Your sensory perception dictates the level of consciousness, which then permeates through the very essence that is your physical flesh and blood. So when Jade mentions that you cannot unsee what you've already seen, that's as serious and as real as it could be in relation to not just an idea, but an actual reality that can be measured and transmuted from the field, 0 point energy, thoughts, feelings, and emotions that our consciousness realized within your attention, intention, changing light to wave to matter to particle, cluster of thought, feeling, and emotion that are generated into this mass, which is called flesh and blood, that is just a reflection of light. So every time that's hit, you're generating matter. That's it. End of story.
Now let's get into that a little bit, because I feel like there's a few different perceptions of like we always go, okay, first first D reality, second D reality, third D reality, and then we kind of look at it as this progression, like, okay, you're in this 3D reality, how do you get to the 5D reality? When essence, I think it's more, you're always, it's more going down. You're in the ninth, like consciousness, you're in the ninth 9D reality. You're just experiencing it, where you're experiencing it the most for most people is in the 3D. Whereas like most people look at it as like 1, 2, 3, 4, that type of progression, when I think there's an argument to be made of, or a perception to be explored of, you're all like, consciousness is everything. You are like your consciousness living in this 3D reality versus this 3D reality trying to find your consciousness.
Right.
You know what I
right,
mean? And I feel like people kind of look at it from the bottom up type of
Right.
thing.
Well, because that's how they're perceiving it within this space. That light that's reflected into materialized matter is what they perceive as tangible. So the separation, we reiterate this over and over again. Your truth is the only truth you need to be concerned with. That's the only truth. And that is so important. It is the everything to everything in relation to the foundation of consciousness, which is your perception of your reality. So understand this, know this to be true. The rippling effects of consciousness is this right now. All of it. That's consciousness. You're just in the third, what people have perceived as the third gear. It's all consciousness, just as Jade said. But what we need to measure through is when you raise your level of consciousness, then there's the realization of, oneness, and all is one, one is all, which is the 0 point energy we talk about, the infinite amount of dots that are non-existent to the naked eye, yet that core epicenter of energy that is the singular, that is the black hole, that is representative within the nucleus of everything, is realized. That's the interconnection. That's the entanglement that we speak of. That's how it is all working at once, the rippling effects. And so if I conduct energy, Jade conducts energy. We're interconnected. We're all interconnected. This is how you can create a healing. And all it is your perception of your reality. So the physiological response to that within the quantum model is the understanding that a thought, feeling, and an emotion is evoked within the consciousness that is the 0 point energy, which you believe is your thoughts, your ideas, inside this, which is really a projector. The consciousness is everything. So I am you, you are me. We're all one. The mic, the camera, the floor, everything is interconnected into this, jello per se, super glue. And by your attention, intention, you're able to move it. Wherever you move it, you are reflecting light, which is creating the hologram. That is what you perceive as matter. And it's just your attention, intention is, wherever your thoughts go, the attention goes, therefore goes the energy, is then matter, realization. And so it's just slowed down to a point where we're able to grasp it. And so depending upon the energy, frequency, vibration, will depend on how dense the matter is. It's all the same. This is still energy, frequency, vibration. So it's how your processor is creating that. So from that rippling effect of a thought, feeling, and emotion creates the above energy, epi being above the gene, is expressed through the dermal layer, which has your self neurons or self receptors, which will basically be your perception of your reality. So that is then transmitted through into the gene itself, activating or deactivating gene expression. And so those 20 plus thousand genes that we have as human beings can be expressed individually 100,000 different ways. So now you have like an infinite amount of gene expression. You're not limited to 20,000. And so your environment, that includes what you see outside of you, it's what's inside of you. A thought, feeling, and emotion is evoked from the consciousness, which is your environment, that permeates down into the pituitary, pineal, and thalamus, that generates an alchemical response. It's a rippling effect that then is evoked through the culture medium that is realized as your blood, that is the catalyst that affects the gene expression. And you can turn it on and off just like that. But this is just a progression of an understanding of how these things transpire, how these things transmute, how these things materialize. Gives you a better understanding, but it's as simple as that. Think it and it will be so. That's the realization. Think it, healing is instant, manifestation is instant, magic is instant, affecting a place, person, or thing, energy, spirit, or God, matter, chi, or spirit, instantly. That is the truth, that is the reality. Oh, yeah. And so that rippling effect has a profound change. And this is with the quantum model. And that's why we always go back to what the truth is only what you believe. Your truth is the only truth you need to be concerned with. You need to be concerned with what you validate as real. And that's where the neurology of the human body comes in. That's where you can validate your feeling as the truth teller. Your neurology within this physical body gives you the experience as an eternal immortal being, having a human being experience. You're given this gift from the Tao, which is perfection. And all these receptors are basically this simulator that gives you your experience. Taste, smell, touch, hearing, feeling. All this stuff comes from your sensory perception, which is in turn the catalyst that evokes the neurological response that gives you a thought, feeling, and an emotion. A thought, emotion, and a feeling. This is realized as the simulator. That's what this body is for. So, you can take it deeper, understanding the DNA sequence when you look deeper into, the discovery of the double helix back in the 1960s, realizing human beings were way more than a bag of blood and flesh, and that inner workings, right down to a photon, having that nucleus that is that 0-point energy, which is the singular, abundant, timeless, endless, limitless, infinite energy from the black hole, which is the interconnection that outlays the entanglement that you realize as the quantum, as the field. You are the field is you. That is realized. And you look at the evolution of man, is understanding that we've gone through cycles of realization that has brought us back to this point. We are here in what we call the United States of America. America was founded on spiritual mofos. Regardless of what you want to discern or erase from what is the history of this country, that was spiritual people. We don't have in God we trust on the dollar bill for no reason. But the evolution or the progression, or really just the movement over the history of what we realize as human beings, there was a progression of ancient indigenous practices into spirituality, into then formed a scientific-based reality that would be more reference to a Newtonian model of understanding, that means that things work independently of each other. There's energy, and then there's the physical body. When in actuality, it all works in concert as the oscillating, rippling ebb and flow that is the field, that is the oneness, that is the universe. This is what's realized. Yet, through history, we have separated these things. That once there was a discovery that we like to call science, back in the 1800s, or 16 or 500 years ago, the Newtonian model of realization, then all of a sudden we have this new language. So now religion can have that metaphysical stuff, and then science can have the fundamentals, nuts and bolts. Everything is separate. So the spirit was separate.
Yeah, well, every like ancient religion or even ancient culture has some level of like mysticism.
Well, that's the core.
Ingrained
That's right.
within it, and it's possibly been lost over time with the evolution of different religions and different kind of sects of the religion, and migration where this portion of people ended up moving here or there and adopted different principles. But every single ancient practice, religion that you can date back, thousands of years ago has a huge component of mysticism and like what we like to call magic ingrained within it, that's kind of been a little bit lost or separated from kind of up until now.
Well, yeah. I mean, the whole realization that you are separated is the thinking, not knowing. Mm-hmm. And so we get back to that because that indigenous practice that you have, whatever is rippling in your DNA, which is a number, a letter, a symbol, which is realized deep within the seed of your genetic expression, your DNA strand, is your true essence. That's what gravitates you to whatever it is that you feel is realized as your truth. That is it. And so this has been going on for thousands of years, which would then lean on the understanding of the epigenetic model, and moreover, how genes are expressed within that DNA, realizing that the DNA goes back hundreds of generations to realize to who you really are right now.
Yeah, don't you think that's kind of why, like, the emperor or the king or the queen was always like passed down? Like the heir was then the king or the queen, then their heir was the king or the queen. You know what I mean? Because it was like they had this understanding that like the DNA of a royal or an emperor or a pharaoh or something was so powerful and so strong that it was like, we're not just going to vote on someone else to do it. It's fast.
Right.
That DNA is passed down through,
Right. And I mean, understanding how, cells are generated and what is created from them because of that culture medium, the blood, how they are mutated or grown to generate in different ways, and they have their allocation. It's like this autonomous behavior that is created from the culture medium, from the blood itself. If I took my cell and put it in Jade's blood and she did the same thing to mine, that would mutate differently depending upon the state of her thoughts, feelings, and emotions, having a rippling effect on that stem cell, that cell's generation. That's as simple as that. And so over time, over history, this Newtonian model would separate the spirit from the body, literally dismissing what's been going on for thousands of years as being the new evidence of reality, which would then separate you from your true consciousness, which is you are the field is you. That realization came in the form of quantum physics, understanding on a much bigger level what that means. And now you're coming back full circle, because now you're hanging out on our channel And we'll go through the fundamentals of that realization. But that separation has been quite evident. You are to be expressed as independent from your body, independent from this mic, independent from the table, independent from the four walls, the house, the state, the world that you live in. You are to be told to believe, to realize that you are an independent mechanism. You're not working collectively. With that comes a deficiency and your inability to access what is most powerful. And that's why your thoughts, feelings, and emotions, what you think, how you think, what you believe in, is the very core of everything. Your belief system is the only thing you need to be concerned with. What you believe in is how it is materialized. Your consciousness then has the rippling effect within the ecosystem that you believe is flesh and blood from that self receptor that is in the dermal layer of your membrane that is your physical body, because that's what's being housed. And so that receptor, that antenna, so just imagine the human body is nothing more than a TV. It's a good analogy. I've heard it before, so I'll just use it again. The TV and the receptors that are creating the infrastructure. So your consciousness creates a thought, feeling, and emotion. The rippling effects of that alters this TV instantaneously. Understand that, know that to be true. That's all it takes. You can express your DNA and lengthen your DNA so that you are expansive, that you're all powerful. You can alter and change and switch on and off your gene expression with your thoughts alone. And so if you have a thought, feeling, and an emotion that is evoked with love, gratitude, appreciation, that frequency is transmitted into that 0.1 hertz, which is then realized into coherence that gives you the synchronicity between the earth and the universe, which makes you at whole with your default, which is perfection. So that brings your gene expression full circle to turning on all your longevity genes, giving you the ability to extend your physical being. This DNA, flesh and blood, is realized by that. So turning on and off genes are as simple as that. Your environment includes your thoughts, feelings, and emotions, not just what you eat, what you wear, who you hang out with. The most powerful connection is your consciousness with this. That's when you're all powerful. That's when you realize that you can do anything. You just think it and it becomes your reality. That is the power of who you are. It's that simple. And so turning on that gene expression, having that realized, because your DNA, which is then replicated with RNA, which is part of the protein connecting with that, revealing the sleeve, revealing the RNA, which is the photocopy of your DNA, is then expressed in your genes, your gene expression. And so the thoughts are 20,000 genes, blah, blah, blah. No, each gene can express itself. People are saying 1,000 times per gene, but I'm saying an infinite amount, any which way you want. The limit of your expression, the limit of your abilities is your imagination, which is your consciousness. Have that realized. That's why, okay, Sifu, well, I've got a great imagination. How do I know if I'm doing anything or not? You must feel it. When you feel it, all bets are off. When you feel it, it's realized. That's why the neurology is so powerful. That register, that kinesthetic spark, that cognitive spark that is a thought, feeling, and emotion within your consciousness has the rippling effect that creates the alchemical response that switches on and off your genes with the hormones that are created from that.
Now, when you're saying we switch on and off our genes, you're saying that we can switch on good ones that we want, but we also switch on bad ones if we're not
And that
in
all
the
comes
right
with the catalyst.
thoughts or mindset or
that's
or
the evidence.
you know,
No.
ideas.
Well, it's not ideas. It's all a thought, feeling, and emotion. And that that emotion evokes a feeling. The feeling is realized, it's manifested from wave to particle to matter. That is the alchemical response. That is the realized emotion that determines whether you're switching on and off that gene expression. That's why when we talk about creating coherence, you want to be in that 0.1 hertz. How's the fastest way to do it? Love, gratitude, appreciation. People go back to it. Love is subjective, but let's say gratitude, appreciation is very simple. You know what you're grateful for. You know what you appreciate. And that creates the frequency, that creates the alchemical response that then turns on your longevity genes.
So we're always in this creation mode, this control mode, this mastery mode of your genes. Now it's just dictated by, is your glass half empty? Is your glass half full?
Oh my goodness.
Do you have a glass? Where are you at? And that constantly can vary on a spectrum. Per se, if you wanted the best outcome, obviously you want to stay in the most positive, grateful, happy thoughts, because that's where it's really going to, like you said, the longevity, the health, the happiness, the all the expressions of, feeling good.
Right. And that feeling good equates to and manifests into your reality. And that's why you are a product of your environment. Your thoughts can turn on and off your gene expression. And that's the rippling effects from an alchemical response that's realized within this flesh and blood. That's how powerful you are, instantaneously. So the neurological effects are second to none. The power is in the neurology. The power is in the simulator, the tuning fork that is your physical body. That's the register. So it's no longer just, am I thinking the right thing? Am I doing it? You will feel it. You know what makes you feel bad. You know what makes you feel good.
Mm-hmm.
Know this to be true. That has the alchemical response instantaneously. So identity, spenity, you want to manifest, you want to create, you want to heal, that becomes instantaneously realized. Thought, feeling, and emotion. That's the rippling effects that go into the field that is the quantum. And your intention creates a realized wave to particle to matter, wave to particle to particle, wave to matter to particle realization that you are taking that light and creating the hologram, the reflection that is materialized in the flesh and blood that you see before you. It's that simple. Consciousness is everything. It's not contained within your brain. Your brain is nothing more than a projector. It's the signal, the thought, feeling, and emotion that is realized in what you believe is here, but it's everything. All that does, the thought, feeling, and emotion, creates the alchemical response. The brain is the projector. The brain is the fun factory. The brain is where you create the chemistry. That's it. All the other stuff that you perceive as being contained within that is a lie, is a manipulation, is a limitation. And that's where we go back to understanding this cycle of Darwin's evolution of man as being using Newtonian physics, which is everything is operating independently of each other. Quantum physics back in the 1920s when it was realized puts that to bed. Now, more than 100 years later, we are quite clear in the evolution of technology and the quantum modern and how we are operating that technology is realized within quantum mechanics, cell phones, internet, all that type of stuff. It's all wave. It's all wave. It's all light. That's how it's created into what you materialize or believe is matter. It's a hologram. It's all light. All of it.
That's a really good like parallel too, is like the internet or cell phone or that type of connection. It's always on. And so using your computer or your cell phone, you're always transmitting signals, you're always receiving signals, just like the same thing that you're controlling your gene expression. You're always doing it. Being aware now of what you're doing and doing it in the way that you want to do it versus like if I just looked at my cell phone and I was like, oh, I don't, my cell phone runs me. It tells me when I'm going to get a text message. It tells me when I'm going to search on the internet. It tells me if I want to watch a movie. It's like, no, I control my phone. I tell it what I want it to do. Hey, I want you to send an email. I want you to send a text. I want you to make a phone call. I'm telling it what I want it to do. It does it for me. Same with your gene expression. Same with how your thoughts control it. It's always on. It's always doing it. So you need to be the master and tell it, hey, no, I'm not, I don't want to think this negative thought. I don't want to affect this gene for this disease or this ailment or this problem. I want happiness. I want joy. I want health. I want longevity. I'm in control of it. I'm telling it what I want it to do from,
Right.
I say up here, but your consciousness.
Right. And the truth teller is here.
And the truth teller, and then projecting it.
And moreover, when Jade says, I want, she means I know.
Yeah.
Knowing is the truth. And when you know, then it's realized. But the barometer, the tuning fork for you to realize that is your neurology. So you feel it. If you don't feel it, you can't validate it. That's the power. And so thinking and knowing are two different things. Thinking is being compartmentalized. Knowing is feeling, is realizing. And so those mechanics are critical to how you, once again, your sensory perception. Your perception is the fundamental foundation of your house of consciousness. Perception. And that is realized within receptors, within what we understand and what we know to be the inner workings, the dermal layer that is connected to the intricacy that realizes within gene expression, dictating all these sort of like alchemical responses that happen from a thought, feeling, and an emotion, right down to a photon. All of this is realized. All of this has the nucleus, which has this black hole energy, the singular, the abundant, timeless, endless, limitless, infinite. That is all interconnected. There is no separation. And so, you can realize it instantaneously. If you ever want to test yourself, look at someone that you love and emote it. We are empaths. The empathy that you have for another human being is realized through the feeling. The feeling is that realization. Look at the person that you love and emote it, and they will feel it instantaneously because you are interconnected.
That's right.
That's right.
I feel it.
That's right. You should. And so all this inner workings is a reiteration of what we have already shared with you, and we will continue to. We'll go more over into the deeper understandings of the mechanisms of how we came to this profound realization. This is why America is such an incredible country, because was the founding fathers of this country were spiritual people. They believed in the spirit. They believed in the energy. They believed in something greater than what you believe is materialized in front of you. And so your compartmentalized view of reality is what limits you. That's why we always say your truth is the only truth you need to be concerned with. because the second it's validated through the energetics, and the reason we always say your truth is the only truth you need to be concerned with, because the letters, the words, the numbers, the symbols, they are all realized within the deep-seated coding that is your gene expression within your DNA strand. So understand this, know this to be true. You have that integrated for thousands of years leading up to you being who you are right now in this flesh and blood reality. And this is moving you to a feeling that I like this, I don't like that. I gravitate to this, I don't gravitate to that. Because I feel it. It's deep within the core of you. And that's how it's materialized, manifested into this reality. And that's how you're dictating your truth. And so that thought, feeling, and emotion has the rippling effects on your genetics. That's why we keep reiterating it. Your belief system is the only thing you need to be concerned with. Your belief system is the core foundation which moves deeper into perception. That's consciousness, ladies and gentlemen and ladies. Your perception is consciousness. That's it. Beginning and end.
Powerful.
That's it. That's all that's important. That's the only thing that's important. How you perceive your reality. Your neurology will speak to you, and it will determine what is true and what isn't. What is realized and what isn't. And you have that power within you. When you're realized as the field, anything is possible. That thought, feeling, and emotion will transmute into anything and everything, instantly affecting change. That electromagnetic field that is being transmitted from your truth teller is on 24/7. And it is infinite in its measurement. It's infinite in its realization. It's infinite in its transmission, because everything that is light is information, is energy. That is the truth. That is the reality. It all comes from here. Transmitted from here, received here, transmitted from here. And then you think this is you. It's nothing more than a projector. It's a fun factory magic maker of hormones that is realized in your manifestation, your healing, your magic.
Your creation.
Your creation, which is in definition, in essence, everything that human beings are.
We are. We're creators. We're, imaginers, is that a word? We use our imagination. We create. We're artistic. Imaginary, visionary.
Yeah, right. So all that comes from consciousness, which is the field. So you have access to everything. When that's realized, that's why we always talk about your belief system. Your truth is the only truth you need to be concerned with. That when you get that straight, all bets are off. All powerful, all knowing, all realized. And it starts with that energetic response, that neurological response that is transmuted into your realization of how you feel.
Yeah, that feeling is the validator for whatever it is, whether it's like you realize, oh, hey, when I think a certain way, this outcome happens. When I think another certain way, wow, this definitely doesn't happen,
And that's the magnet. So your magnet draws to you anything you want. Don't define yourself as a manifestor only when what you perceive in your duality as good things happen to you. You're a manifestor when bad things happen to you. You're a manifestor when everything happens to you. Your realization of your flesh and blood, your ability to look in the mirror and see a physical form is your manifestation. Booyah. That's why today, I forget my closing words and comments and beliefs and feelings and just smiles from my co-host here. We're going to go over a basic activation of your upper dantian. Moreover, we're going to go deep into those three treasures that we speak of, and we're going to blow your shit up. Just imagine that little guy with a little like some hillbilly from the,
I think I
an
like
old Western movie
yeah,
with
the
a
Looney,
little
like Looney Tunes or
TNT
something.
like bomb and pushing
Uh-huh.
down the lever, bang. That's exactly what we're going to do. Sifu, you put that in my head. Oh my goodness. So understand that is part of the triggering effects, and just me talking about it once again, the power of consciousness, the power of being at one with everything. The audience can immediately feel the percolation of the energy because that's my intention instantaneously being realized. Oh yeah, power.
Yeah, and I mean, we don't use that word lightly either. When you start to really understand not only that you're in control, you're moving this stuff constantly, it's always on, you're constantly manifesting, you're constantly in the driver's seat, you're constantly directing, writing, creating this story. And that's the first step. Once you're aware of that, then it's kind of, you really do have the power. You have the power to start dictating, where do you want to go? What do you want to do? How do you want to do it? What do you want to become? That's that real empowerment, that knowing. And when it hits you for the first time, you just go, oh, this is awesome. This is so cool.
Right.
Thank you.
No, thank you.
Yeah.
So on that note, I'll ask my divine delectable co-host, any closing thoughts, words, or statements that you want to make?
Yeah, no, I mean, I think I just,
Drop the mic.
yeah, kind of said it.
Right. And that's what I want to say, which is the power begins and ends with you.
Mm-hmm.
Your limitations begin and end with you. Anything you want, anything you realize is instantaneous. Think it and it will be so. That's the power of who you are.
Yeah. And if you live in a duality, good or bad. And
Right.
if you live in a oneness, even better.
Right. And that duality can be determined and minimized and magnified and altered any way you want.
Mm-hmm.
And the fast track to realizing all is one, one is all, is the neurology, that power, that brainwave, that realization, that coherence that is created with that 0.1 frequency, is your interconnection with the earth and the universe. This physical flesh and blood is realized as that. Oh yeah. So on that note, knowing that you can feel the percolation, that, the first sense or the first realization that we're going to turn on, well, no, we're not. That would be pretty bad. We will turn on the first 3 9-linked chambers of your upper dantian. And this will be realized. And understand, when you see light in your third eye, that's because that's the transmission of everything that is energy, frequency, vibration is transmuted into light. That's why it's realized within your third eye. That's why it's realized with your eyes open. That's why it's realized as perceived in your consciousness as so. Because that's the truth. So, you don't have to move your hands. You don't have to move your body. You can close the sense off, close your eyes down, and you can now breathe. And this sequence will be quite simple. The concentration will be completely condensed to the middle of your upper dantian, moreover, your pineal gland. And it will come in the form of a brilliant, bright, phosphorus, gold, white light. And so through the respiration, through the power of Qigong, through the power of the energy, frequency, vibration that is realized right now as you guys are listening to my very voice. We will breathe in and out 9 times at a pacing lead, nothing too hard, nothing too fast. And at each 9-point interval, we will hold it for 9, and then we'll do another 9. And all you guys need to do is follow my lead at this point. When you are ready, so each breath in and out will be concentrated in your pineal gland in the center of your upper dantian. And this will just concentrate and pulsate and oscillate even greater as we continue up the chain. We are realizing the first 27 chambers of the upper dantian. And you can speak in volumes what your experience is, because it will be instantaneous. On that note, we will start with my lead. Breathe in, breathe out. 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 And breathe out. Hold. 9, 8, 7, 6, 5, 4, 3, 2, and 1. Release. Oh, yeah. My goodness. This never gets old, ladies and gentlemen, gentlemen and ladies. On our next round of 9, I will just breathe in and breathe out. Follow my lead. Hold it. 9, 8, 7, 6, 5, 4, 3, 2, and 1. Release. Oh my goodness. Oh my goodness. Last 9. Hold it. 9, 8, 7, 6, 5, 4, 3, 2, and 1. Release. Now sit with that, and the concentration of that will replicate a rhythm. Move with that rhythm. Move with that rhythm. I'm going to turn it up a little bit more. Let that ripple, those first 27 chambers. And let that rhythm transmute into your very physical essence, however it is transformed. As you can see, between Jade and I, we have our own rhythm. And the energy is transmuting and manifesting into that rhythm within the physical body. As you can see Jade's rhythm as she is moving her head, watch closely. This is what is going on vibrationally throughout her whole physical body right down to her DNA strand. This is taking place. Watch it. Now, if you look at my transmuted vibration, it's moving through my whole physical body, right down to my DNA strand. And now you, as a participant at home, will be able to realize your own vibration that is being transmuted into your physical body, into the very essence and core of your DNA, which is translated into how you are moving physically. This is at the highest level of consciousness. And the more attention, intention you put to it, the stronger the magnitude. As you can see, my frequency is starting to, as I turn it up, becomes more evident. This is taking place in all of us. And I will now draw the concentration even more right into the deep center of your upper dantian. There we go. Now we'll turn it over like dough and just make that shine. Shine bright like a diamond. Oh yeah. Let it shine. Let it reverberate. Let it oscillate. Let it pulsate. Let it create that vibrant white light. Oh my goodness. Oh my goodness. Turn it over like dough even more. 9, 27, 36. That's it. That's it. And with this incredible transformation, realization of energy, frequency, vibration, I will sign off with my divine, delectable co-host, High Priestess Jade, thanking the audience for their participation in this incredible realization of how powerful they are. And also on that closing note, I am your humble servant and Sifu, Taoist Master San Quen, signing off. See you on the next one, guys.